Hello and welcome to our actual play of Curse of Strahd as presented by For the Love of Crits. I'm level 1 Dungeon Master Antareyu. Thank you again for joining us as we follow our lost clerics of Barovia deeper into the mist. Curse of Strahd, created by Wizard of the Coast, is known for its dark themes and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised due to the adult language and themes. Please keep the chat civil and avoid spoilers for this Wizards of the Coast adventure as well as any others. Normally, we would have one of our players enact a recollection. However, we are not going to do a recollection as not much happened in the last session, aside from leading into the events of this one. Going to give a brief overview, but please don't forget, for the love of crits, like, comment, and subscribe. When our players were in the Wizard of Wines, the clerics were right on the heels of a triumphant battle against one of the small factions of these druids and blights that were attacking the Wizard of Wines themselves. Perhaps it was this small victory that caused Onyx to feel a little bit overconfident as he stepped on his own to fight 3 members in a small printing press room. His first strike was devastating, nearly downing all 3 of them in a single blow. 2 of them rose, attempted to fight him, but his allies, Onyx's allies, were quickly able to dismantle them, leaving the final one to him. Closed off from the rest of the group, Onyx fought this one lone creature on his own, who seems like fate was on his side as he landed a critical blow against Onyx himself, bringing him to his knees, downing him without the knowledge of anyone else in the party. Conareth, wanting to look for another exit to be able to fight the druids that were outside, runs upstairs to see the creature looking at Onyx. Unaware of Onyx's condition, he did what he could to try and stop him. But the creature was unrelentless, forward, and with a screech of metal, Onyx was beyond the veil. Onyx, like most of his other companions, woke up in a somewhat familiar location, with distinct differences. He was pinned beneath other Warforged that were hiding, or that he was pinned beneath other Warforged upon a conveyor belt in his master's workshop, or more accurately, his dismantling shop. He is offered the hand by a mysterious figure, who asked him the question, Nimmst du unser Gift? Onyx initially refused, and that's where we ended last session. Onyx, this person, reaches out his hands further. He again implores you, Nimmst du unser Gift? What do you do?
Not getting an answer from this creature. I look over my shoulder, see the inferno getting closer. I look back at the individual. I start to reach my hand out, but pull it back quickly. You are not a Kadi. I know this. I know this. Whatever you are, we're in the keys. And it is not our gods.
The relentless cranking of the conveyor belt continues. The creature pulls his hand away, standing there without remorse, watching you. As you look forward, you see the boiling vat of metal, the other Warforged ahead of you falling into its depths. and being liquefied only to be rebuilt into more mechanisms of your master's war machine. You approach the edge of the conveyor belt, and without pause, it continues. You fall into the boiling vat. Your eyes fill with white heat of metal before you lose all vision. Onyx, his body now lifeless, tumbles through the night sky. The inky darkness envelopes him, a vast expanse without end, only broken by the light of stars in the distance. You are weightless. You feel the absence of solid ground, the sensation of drifting into the infinite unknown. A journey into the void where time and space lose all meaning. But as suddenly as your suspension began, it quickly faded. You begin falling, your joints straining as you're pulled into the one of the distant stars. Fragmented memories assail your consciousness. Fleeting images of battles, companions, laughter, and sorrow flicker like ethereal flames. Moments of triumphs and defeat intermingle, a kaleidoscope of emotions overwhelming your senses. You can only capture fleeting names in the maelstrom of thought. Stranger, friends, things that have happened or things that are yet to come. You can only capture fleeting information in the maelstrom of thoughts. Cade stares down at Falco, his bow drawn, pain filling his soul, trying desperately to protect Kaldar. The old man with many names and a blue eye wakes up on a ship in the storm, trying to shake the thoughts of his soldiers he killed in air. Azora hides on the roof as her companions desperately try to hide from the guards below, and a blue dragonborn crouches down to return a cat to the ground after caring for its wounds. Time becomes a blur as the tapestry of his existence unfolds into a non-linear cascade, each memory vying for attention as if it's the most important in the boundless canvas of your mind. Your vision fills with white just as suddenly as it filled with blackness. Suddenly, the torrent of memories halt, and the Warforged finds himself on imperceptible ground within a white void. As the Warforged senses adjust, the surrounding area comes into focus. Revealing an awe-inspiring temple. Grand in scale, the temple emanates an eerie stillness despite its immense size. An ancient monument bearing the weight of forgotten time, abandoned yet charged with profound history. Onyx, you find yourself upon crossroads. The area surrounding you, it is definitely an intersection. However, as you look behind you, these bridges crumble into dust, leaving no path but to the temple ahead of you. The Warforged rises to their feet and takes hesitant steps towards the looming temple. As they approach, the entrance reveals itself, adorned with intricate symbols that um, pulse with a faint, otherworldly glow. The air crackles with the remnants of divine energy, guiding him into the grandiose interior. And the door would open as you are approaching it. As you step in, the Warforged is enveloped by a sense of foreboding significance as you cross the threshold. the ethereal electricity intensifying with each step, marking the beginning of a profound encounter within this sacred space. Within the grand interior of the temple, a vast and cathedral-like ceiling stretches overhead. The central focus is a solitary desk, weathered and covered in a thick layer of dust, positioned in the heart of the space. Though conspicuously empty, the desk bears the markings of a space meant for a tome, a void awaiting the return of forgotten knowledge. Behind the desk stands a towering and uh, solid throne, mysterious and imposing. The only other visible entrance is are two humble doors on either side, inconspicuous and almost resembling storage rooms. The air within resonates with an aura of timelessness, as if the very essence of the temple holds echoes of ages long past. As you are waiting there, you hear a noise coming from the small door to your left. You hear what almost sounds like the shuffling of papers or leaves across the ground in an autumn day. In walks a small storm cloud. The wispy cloud yeah.
I just hello.
It does not heed you uh any glance that you can see at this time. The wispy cloud being glides into the temple. It's carrying a collection of scrolls and a large weighty book. With a sense of urgency, it speeds towards the dusty desk, his form trailing ephemeral mist as if propelled by an unseen wind. However, in its haste, some of the scrolls slip from its grasp, landing in a delicate flutter onto the desk. Arriving at the desk, he carefully retrieves the fallen scrolls. I have to lock my height. There we go. Okay. Arriving at the desk, he carefully retrieves the fallen scrolls, each page crackling with contained knowledge, creating a hushed symphony of ancient whispers. The cloud being exudes an air of haste, as if caught in the currents of a celestial rush. With what is unmistakably the sound of a gust of wind, or almost a bellows, you see a cloud of dust fly off of the desk as this creature blows it off. He sets down the scrolls, and you hear a voice emanate from it. I'm sorry, this room hasn't been used for 6 centuries. We were not set up for this. And he begins going through, and he's like, Barovia does not have too many beings passing through here. I'm all flustered. Let me restart. And he spreads out as if he's trying to make himself look bigger. Bolts of electricity pass through his cloud, and he darkens into an irrefutable storm cloud. His voice comes from the tempest, sounding as if this creature's trying to raise his voice to sound more grand. Greetings, esteemed Warforged. I am Ventus. Welcome to the Celestial Archives of Akkadi. The tempest dies down almost immediately as the being sits in the chair to read the books and scrolls on the desk. You are Warforged, right?
I am.
Okay. Warforged, and he pulls out a scroll, and he's almost going through as if he's checking off things. He has a quill that he kind of has taken, and it's almost like he's checking you in to like a government entity. It feels like you're at the DMV, basically. And he's like, okay, Warforged designation 076490. That's your serial number, right?
I look over me. I don't know.
Okay, and he slowly checks off the thing, and he's like, okay, 076490, creator Frith, the Frith? Wow. Okay. Creations per, ooh, assassin. You, wait, but you're a cleric. Why are you assassin? Is this wrong?
Had a awakening, let's just say.
Okay. Assassin and barista. Okay, so, um, upgrades or modifications. Looks like you had olfactory sensors and taste sensors input. Also, unknown rune on chest. I think that's a location. Okay, known associations. Short list. 3 clerics from other gods. Your creator, Frith, and a few monastics, most of them deceased. Any others
All
I missed?
all are deceased as far as I'm aware.
No, it says most. There's one still alive.
Ooh.
Madam something. I'm not sure. I'm not in that file, so. Anyway, current physical status, critical condition, demiplane Barovia, yada yada yada. Soul status, borrowed in review. So any other questions on this? This seems pretty straightforward. This all seems in order. Should be good to proceed without me from here.
I still am very confused as to what is going on.
Ah, I think you'll be okay. I mean, I'm just here to make sure that we're not accidentally like putting like a demon and trying to like put him in here. You'd be surprised the type of people that call on Akadi in the last moments and have never called on her before. So we have this little thing so we can make sure that we're talking to the right person, because sometimes we've accidentally sent the wrong person into Akadi's presence, and it's good. But you'll be good. Just remember, don't look her in the eye if you can help it. As the cloud being completes the processing of this intake paperwork, a sudden shift in the atmosphere heralds its departure. Without warning, the wispy form of the cloud being dissipates into a fine mist, swirling and vanishing into the ether with an ephemeral whisper.
Wait, I still. Fucking A.
Once the bustling presence in the temple abruptly dissipates, leaving behind an eerie stillness that permeates the air like a veil. In the absence of the cloud being, space feels oddly vacant, as if awaiting the arrival of another presence to fill the void. It's as though a light has been extinguished, leaving the location shrouded in darkness, a blank canvas awaiting the stroke of divine intervention. Looking around the room, you see no one in here. This being has gone away. You are left alone, seemingly. You do not see any other beings within here. And as you give a full 360-degree look around the room, your eyes fall upon the top step. Again, you see a woman. She appears tall, slender, skin as clear as the sky. Let me pull up the token here. Go. I had the token up. I apologize, it's not.
Akadi has decided not to grace me with her presence. Got it.
Okay. Looking around the room in a full 360, the room has been empty, but as you turn around to look again, a person has appeared there, making no noise to announce their presence. She appears as a tall, slender woman with skin as clear as the sky, adorned in flowing robes that billow and dance as if caught in a perpetual breeze. Her hair, a shimmering cascade of clouds, frames a serene and ageless face, while her piercing eyes mirror the boundless expanse of the heavens. Akadi exudes an aura of calm power and elemental grace, her presence evoking the untamed forces of the air itself. As she notices that you notice her presence, she speaks, her voice echoing in the halls as if it is the power of the wind itself. As the winds of fate converge upon you, Warforged, know that you stand at the crossroads of existence. The soul that once breathed life into your form has departed, leaving behind a vessel untethered to its purpose. Now you are faced with a choice: return to the nothingness from whence you came, or to forge a new path, shaped by the echoes of your own experiences. She steps down towards you. In the tapestry of creation, your threads intertwine with the fabric of destiny. Woven within these threads of triumph and tribulation, each moment, each memory, a brushstroke upon the canvas of your being, painting a portrait of identity forged in the crucible of experience. But now, choice lies before you. Like a forked path in the tempestuous winds of fate, shall you embrace the embrace of oblivion, returning to the void from whence you came? Or shall you seize the opportunity to transcend, to breathe anew the breath of life, drawing strength from your own existence?
Onyx, as soon as he saw her, would have knelt, bowing his head. And, my goddess, are you telling me you'd be able to send me back?
That choice is yours. You have shown great faith, but even more so, you have shown great worth. Do you know how you came into this world, Warforged?
Just that I was made.
Yes, you were made. In a sense. Your body, the one that you've used to fight for Akadi, as well as Frith, was created by man. But your soul, where did it come from?
I was unaware my kind had souls.
You see, Frith is aware of that as well. He is a cruel man, and he is one full of greed, one who wants to conquer all, a parasite upon the world, leaving nothing in positive and taking only what he wants. You were an experiment, a way that he could use his conquered foes to fight for himself, taking the soul of an innocent and putting it inside a cold, heartless machine. Frith is no god. He cannot create a soul, but he could borrow one. That soul, as I've mentioned, is no longer. He can now return as much as he can return. My powers are limited within Barovia, and I cannot snatch his soul back. But perhaps you may be able to free him. But first, we must decide what we are doing with you. You are correct. Your kind do not have souls. But what makes up a soul? The years that pass between the moment of birth and the moment of death are the true materials that construct a soul. Time must accumulate to create a genuine and robust self. But a person is only complete in their final moment. Consider well your decision, for it shall shape the currents of destiny that carry you forward into eternity. Stand, Warforged, child of metal and magic. You stand before me at the precipice of existence, your soul adrift in the currents of uncertainty. You know what the essence that once animated your form has faded into the vast expanse of beyond, yet here you remain, a testament of resilience and possibility. Your choice shall echo across the aeons, shaping the contours of your journey through the boundless expanse of eternity. Embrace your truth, Warforged, and let it guide you as you navigate the currents of destiny that flow ever onward. As the weight of Akkadi's words hang heavy in the air, the temple's atmosphere seems to shimmer with a kaleidoscope of memory. The same kaleidoscope that you had passed through as you were traveling here. The temple's atmosphere seems to shimmer, each fragment vying for attention in the in your consciousness. Within this ethereal realm, the past unfolds like a tattered tapestry, threads of experience weaving together to form the fabric of identity. With a gentle yet insistent nudge, you find yourself drawn towards flickering embers of memory, each one a beacon in the darkness of the void. As they delve deeper into the recesses of your own mind, the highlights of your existence begin to emerge, illuminated by the radiant glow of memory. Kadi leans over you, staring at the same pictures you can see floating ahead of you. You see, from the crucible of creation to the crucible of conflict, your journey unfolds before our very eyes. A symphony of victories and sufferings, joy and sorrow. Each moment, each encounter a chapter in the saga of your soul, etched into the annals of time with indelible ink. As the memories coalesce and converge, you stand on the threshold of revelation, poised to confront the truth of your own existence, for within the depths of memory lie the key to unlocking the mysteries of the self, and in the echoes of the past, the promise of a future yet written. Akkadi holds her hand out to you, says, "Shall we begin?"
Wherever yours, and I will grab her hand.
As you grab her hand, you are pulled. You feel like a hook in the back of your neck as you're pulled into this maelstrom. You again feel this sucking void around you as if you're being squeezed through a tube, and then all of a sudden you're standing in a small workshop. You see a man hunched at a table. The outside night is dark, the room only lit by candles. Akkadi stands next to you, her arms crossed. You hear a spark of electricity. The laughter of a man who has just achieved something wonderful. Here we are. Your birth. You know what Frith began as, do you?
I remember him telling me that the world is full of weakness, and that if we were to master this world, we had to rid the world of weakness.
Yes. His view as might is right. He tried to instill into you early on. But there was a little bit of too much humanity within you. He chose poorly. He chose a soul that wanted to disobey. He was quite foolish. Too often, tyrants fear those they create. But I think he thought he could control you. Remove the weakness of humanity he saw in himself as well as others. You have no memory of this, but this is when the soul was bound to your form. And she points over to the right, and you see a circle on the ground with a man lying in the center, his skin taut as if he had been starving for weeks on end before this had occurred. You have no memory of this, but he was a baker. He had 2 children. They're still alive today. And, like you, children of this man vehemently oppose Freth. I don't. You have no memory of this, but you must know where you began if we are going to figure out where your soul's destination should be. She holds out her hand once more.
Getting a good look around, trying to commit it to memory. I reach forward and grab her hand.
You feel the same familiar feeling of a hook round your neck, the vacuum and the darkness. And suddenly you appear in an area that is recognizable to you. The larger workshop in which augments and repairs were made on yourself in between assassinations. Your creator is looking at you close into your blue eyes. Seems to be diagnosing an issue. Your eyes are lit up. You are aware that you're conscious, but just as suddenly as they're lit up, Frith flips something on the inside as he's working. Your eyes go dull, and he begins opening up your faceplate to work within. Akadi is watching you and says nothing.
I walk up so I can see what he is doing.
You can see that he is tinkering around with something directly in the center of your forehead. He almost is undoing a screw so he can continue going deeper, but it's definitely within the face area that he's going. He doesn't have any assistants around. Frith was mostly a solitary figure when it came to his work.
I look back at Akade. What is he doing to me?
Trying to figure out what went wrong. How many years were you an assassin for Frith?
Enough?
And during all of that time, you never once denied an order. This was Frith trying to figure out why you denied an order for the first time, and questioned him when he asked you to burn down the monastery. You were broken. You were weak. And that is when you found me. And I have been attempting to guide your steps ever since. A man that cannot accept his lot in life is not worth much. And Frith wants to be in control of everything, even his servants. I am not so legalistic as Frith, which is why I give you the choice that we're talking about. If you choose to go into nothingness, I will grant that to you. As someone that has shown great faith within Akadi, she rewards her servants. But she holds out her hand. We must continue. The tapestry of your soul goes ever on.
Onyx stares at himself with the faceplate on and pulls up the memory of seeing the innocents that were in the monastery and knows he did the right thing before grabbing Akadi's hand.
As you grab Akadi's hand, you again feel the jerk and the vacuum. And you're given a sense of surprise, as those memories you were just thinking about are now surrounding you in full. You feel the heat of the flame. You hear the screams of the other residents of the monastery. And you feel as if you can do nothing. Just as suddenly as you were inside the monastery, you are now outside of it, staring from a distance. The flames, even at this distance, burning what sensors you have.
Onyx falls to his knees, his head held in shame.
The first two memories were out of your control. If you had stayed, you likely would have died along with the rest of them. Your faith was not quite as strong as it is now. You have seen much since this tragedy.
But I couldn't stop him.
It's true. A man must come to know his enemy as clearly as he knows himself in order to see his own victory in battle. And while your two lives may end as one, you will not die for nothing. And she holds her hand out again for you.
Onyx stares off at the monastery and without looking takes her hand one more time.
Okay. go. Bear with me one moment.
Makes for a different scene in my head when the feelings he was having was the soul. So now he doesn't have the feelings like the crying or anything.
Let me see here. There we go. As she takes your hand, you again feel that familiar, the familiar hook as well as the vacuum. You find yourself in a forest clearing, sitting against a tree. Your eyes deactivated as if you were asleep. Akadi stares down at you, standing near you, but not disturbing your body upon the ground. You remember this part?
Do I?
Let me think. Take a look here. So, you might not recognize this exact moment in time. There was a period of time after the burning of the monastery that you wandered around.
Right.
Kadi looks at you and she's like, this was the dream. The moment when you first saw the three companions you now travel with. That moment that you were given the card. She reaches down and picks up a card that says, The Avenger, upon it. And you were swept into a new realm of purpose for your destiny. One that I did not anticipate coming along. But even among the gods and goddesses, Madame Eva is one to be reckoned with.
I excuse me, was not aware she was that powerful.
Like anything, power is an illusion. She may not have the same power of me to control the winds or to bring down a cascade of thunder. But her ability to influence fate and destiny and to foretell what will or may happen is quite powerful indeed. For someone that is a mortal, she influences fate much more than others of her stature should be able to. Be wary, for what she tells you is the truth, but she may tell you to try and achieve her own ends. At this point, you run. For the first time since the monastery, though, you are not running from your master, but rather running to your fate at the Nightmare Stable in a town called Daggerford, as she holds out her hand once more.
More sure of myself, I grab her hand.
You appear suddenly within the tavern, the Nightmare Stable. You see your companions, those people that you have now become to know as friends, sitting around the table, discussing the strange dream and the cards that they had received, and looking for the man of many colors. You walk with the party out of Daggerford. You hear the story that Stanimir tells of a prince that they once saved, and he has granted them passage. And they ask you to please come and help the prince that they once helped. You crawl, you at a snail's pace, you crawl in the carriages to the edge of the mist that you know so well now. Akadi reaches out her hands once more.
Once more, I take them.
Suddenly, you are underneath the basement of the Durst Manor. You see this vile creature of flesh and bone. The chanting of "one must die" rings in your ears, cascading around your skull, just as it did when you were trapped here before. You see your companions desperately trying to kill this creature. One of them getting engulfed. He's kneeling on the ground, holding the dead infant of Walter. Kadi looks down, and you can't tell if everyone is just paused in shock, or if Akadi has supernaturally paused time in front of you. But the room is still. The companions looking at the innocent soul that they have rescued from this fate. Akadi looks at you. Do you remember Walter?
I do. It's a bittersweet memory.
Yes. And Walter remembers you as well. You four were not the first companions to end up in this basement, but you were some of the first to leave, and the only ones to take pity upon the soul that was Walter. Perhaps in the end there is a silver lining, but know that it often just lasts for a moment. She holds out her hand once more.
I also remember this is the time that we had a downed member. Is he still down in this memory?
The as she was talking about the silver lining, the other players would have started moving, and you're almost like traveling along with them as if it's like a drift globe at this point, that you kind of stay within a certain distance of them. So they do bring the one character back. I believe it was Konereth that had gone down.
And Graves.
And Graves.
And Graves.
Yeah.
Two of us died
So
then.
they bring him up, but then immediately afterwards, the house begins to reject you, and you are following them as they are trying to desperately escape the death house.
Was there a glitch or a something odd about or during this playing that happened with those two?
Are you asking Akadi this, or asking if you've observed something?
If I've observed something.
You do not observe anything. They go down, they get healed, and they get back up.
I was going to say, because we thought they were dead. They got the key and then just started breathing again.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah, sorry, it's been a while since. So they are down. They do appear dead. The other companions are surprised when they do revive.
And Graves didn't start breathing again. He started moving again.
True. Before grabbing Akadi's hand, I will be staring down at Graves. Be like, something happened this night. He was gone, yet returned with a key.
Yes, he did. But that is a story for another time. One that does not concern you, as you have declined to accept such gifts. And she holds out her hand again.
As I take it, of course, I know I'm gonna be whisked away. Was that good or bad? And we.
You appear in the town of Barovia. A woman pleading with her brother to not send her away. You recognize her as I almost said Irelia. Oh gosh. Irina, thank you. I couldn't get a different name in my head. You recognize her as Irina and her brother. You walk with her as you carry the casket of her father. And he's like, this you likely will remember well. Your first encounter with Rahatin.
Oh, I remember. The Prince of Darkness.
I ask you, why did you not take action?
One thing Frith did well is make sure that I assess the situation and only proceed if I'm fairly certain the outcome. At that time, I do not believe that we were ready.
Perhaps. But also, perhaps you are moving further away from your master's design than you first thought. She holds out her hand once more.
I grasp it.
Okay. You feel the hook behind your neck, the vacuum, and you're suddenly transported to a room full of crackling electricity, the screaming of a muffled voice, and you hear the singeing of skin and hair as you see Victor being pulled into the portal. You weren't quite sure what would happen then. What was different?
That was a mistake.
Was it? What did this boy do?
He did terrible things.
Is he still doing those terrible things?
No.
What was the mistake in your eyes?
That I became judge and executioner all in one fell swoop.
Akadi walks around. This time, unmistakably, the scene has paused. She walks across the portal, the electricity standing still, looking at the four figures surrounding the purple electricity, their face alight with what they have created. All somber expressions. She looks at them. She's like, I don't think that you were judge, but rather jury. You put too much weight upon yourself. See these three? Selune. We have Gond. Then we have the Lady of the Graves, Pharasma. I have spoken to them. We have had much deliberation about the lost clerics in Barovia. And it's the first time we've had such a force within this area. You four together were jury and executioner. But know this, your gods and goddesses do not disapprove.
I bow my head and well, my goddess, that just means we got lucky. We keep acting this way was to stop us from being the tyrants we oppose.
The funny thing about luck is it can go in both directions, good or bad. You say this one is good, that it was in your favor. She holds out her hand once more. You feel the hook behind your neck again, the vacuum, as suddenly you're in a forest clearing. The light of the moon shining down from the heavens, striking the werewolf who transforms into a child, lying dead on the ground. Luck is fickle. It can go one way or the other in just the blink of an eye.
Precisely why I don't want to make a habit of relying on it.
Then don't. But your reactions to this death are why I do not fear you becoming tyrants as Frith is. Despite the death of this child, you were still willing to do what was necessary when you met Victor and learned what monster he had become. She holds out her hand once more.
Fully home.
You feel the pull again. You appear in a dark clearing, a road, a carriage nearby. And you see the man you've only seen once, but has been ever present in your thoughts since you've entered the city of Valaki. Strahd von Zarovich himself. Looking down upon the three of you, as if you're no more care, that he takes no more interest of you than insects. And looks and she's like, "You have met Strahd, the ancient and the land."
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you think of him?
He has a silver tongue. And I'm sure many layers than what is perceived at this time.
Do you fear him or Frith more?
Looking straight at Strahd. Breath.
Know this. What I said about your master was true just as much as it is with Strahd. A man must come to know his enemy as clearly as he knows himself in order to see victory in battle. Learn what you can about Strahd, or you will never defeat him. He has beaten many much more powerful than you. But that doesn't mean that it's all hope is lost.
At this point, I will turn to Akadi and respond with, "So, it is your will we vanquish this individual?"
She walks up to Strahd, barely an inch between their heights, and looks at him in the face. This vampire has decimated this land for centuries. He blocks us out. Only through emissaries are we able to fully encompass. It is my will that he no longer rules this plane. But it is not my command that it must be you to vanquish him. That choice lies solely within your hands. Just know this, even if there is an end to Strahd, there's no such thing as an absolute and final ending, for it's always followed by a new beginning. The future is yours to shape as you wish, crafted with hope on a foundation of serenity. She reaches out her hand. There is only one more.
Step forward and grab her hand.
You appear in the upper room of the Wizard of Wines. The torrent of glass and ink splattering across the walls like black blood. It's like, you called upon my name and used it to great effect. But you were foolish.
Of us.
What would you do differently if you could go back?
Rely on my friends more.
The tempest, the wind, the ice, Each individual component is useless without the other. He reaches her hand out once more.
I assume at this point I can see... Is this the point where my body is there? Like laying on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
And I see Conereth. And I take a step towards him. Before lowering my eyes to the ground and turning to Akadi and taking her hand.
You feel yourself get pulled, and you appear back in the temple. Akadi standing near her throne. So, what say you?
There's a long silence before he looks up and shrugs. My friends need me. They have an unknown presence about them. They're in danger right now. How can I give up on them in their time of need?
Your faith in your friends is only dwarfed by your faith in myself. So it shall be. I offer you with some gifts to aid you in your fight. We shall speak again. And at that time when you return to this place, at the end, I look forward to seeing who you are, Onyx. And she taps your forehead, and you feel that hook once more, pulling yourself out of the white void through the black vacuum, and all of a sudden you are on the ground of the Wizard of Wines. And that is where we'll end tonight's session. Thank you again for joining us. We had a short session tonight, but please, for the love of crits, like, comment, and subscribe.